Here in the UK, those with home solar get paid pretty well for exporting generation back to the grid. But just like we're seeing with other countries around the world, change is on the horizon, with export rates dropping or even disappearing altogether. In this video, we'll be looking at the export tariffs offered today by the UK's leading energy provider Octopus Energy, and I'll give you my prediction on what might happen to them in the near future. Hi there, I'm Gary and welcome back to my channel Gary Does Solar. It's summer here in the UK and by all accounts it's the warmest summer we've had here for a long time, with lots of people reporting record solar generation. And for many people, self-consuming all that solar generation is almost impossible. Even if home batteries are not charged overnight, they become full by mid-morning. Thankfully though, in the UK, energy providers are willing to pay homeowners for their excess solar generation, and pay them well. Here's an example tariff from the UK's leading energy provider Octopus Energy. Their outgoing Octopus tariff pays homeowners 15 pence per kilowatt hour for any electricity exported back to the grid. That's nearly 60% of the typical standard import rate in the UK of around 25 pence, which in itself is eye-opening when you consider that the import rate isn't just wholesale electricity costs. It's padded with network charges, supplier margins, green levies and more. And if that wasn't enough, Octopus Outgoing is a flat rate tariff, meaning it doesn't matter when in the day the export is made, you'll always get 15 pence for it. Many other energy providers in the UK also offer export tariffs similar to this, including E.ON, British Gas, EDF and Good Energy. Octopus Energy goes further though and offers tariffs with even higher export rates. Octopus Flux is what is called a time of use tariff, and it pays nearly 28 pence for exports between 4 PM and 7 PM when the grid demand is at its peak. Intelligent Octopus Flux is another time of use tariff, but this time import and export rates are equivalent, meaning it can be described as a net metering tariff. This is perfect for homeowners who generate far more electricity than they consume. And if you're really adventurous, Octopus also offers a time of use tariff where the import rates vary every 30 minutes throughout the day and night depending on the wholesale rate. That tariff is called Agile Octopus, and there is a corresponding export tariff called Outgoing Agile, where the export rates vary every 30 minutes as well. For those interested, I've put together a detailed breakdown of all of these Octopus tariffs and their relative benefits in this collection of videos here. Check out the links in the description below. And I just cannot recommend Octopus Energy enough. I've been with them myself for 3 years now, and in my opinion, they are by far the best energy provider in the UK, especially for those with home solar and battery. And it's easy, in fact almost automatic, to switch to them from your current provider. Just type in garydoessolar.com/octopus into your browser and follow the simple steps. Not only will you get £50 credited to your account, but I'll also get £50, which helps me keep creating content like this for you. A big thank you to everyone who's used my referral code so far. If you look on the Octopus Energy website, you'll find this super handy table that breaks down for each of their import tariffs listed down the side, which export tariffs listed across the top can be combined with them. Now I've been on many of these tariffs myself, and I've also modelled them against various daily usage scenarios in my tools. And despite the strong appeal of tariffs like Octopus Flux and Intelligent Octopus Flux, from a purely financial standpoint, if you own an EV, it's really tough to beat Octopus Go and Intelligent Octopus Go when paired with Outgoing Octopus. You can charge your home battery at the same time as your EV on the low-cost off-peak import, 7 pence per kilowatt hour on Intelligent Octopus Go. And because your home battery is always full before the sun comes up, you can immediately export all of your excess solar for 15 pence, a fantastic arbitrage opportunity. And so you can see why the flat rate export tariffs are very popular in the UK. But there's a problem. Most home solar exports naturally occur at midday during peak generation. But that's precisely when national grid demand is often low and commercial solar farms are pushing a lot of renewable energy on the grid already. And these two factors lead to extremely low or even negative wholesale prices. And it kind of feels strange to be incentivizing homeowners at times like this given that. Surely it makes more sense to pay homeowners based on the real-time value of their exported energy, what it's truly worth to the grid at that moment. Let's explore this a bit further But first, if you're getting a lot of value from my videos, please can you like and subscribe? It'll only take you a few minutes and it really helps me out a lot, thank you. Looking at the Octopus tariff chart again, you can see that wherever you can combine outgoing Octopus with an import tariff, you can instead combine outgoing Agile if you want. This is good because as you can see here, Octopus Agile does indeed pay a rate which is based on the actual wholesale rate of electricity at the time. Lower rates when grid demand is low and higher rates during peak demand. This chart comes from Mick Wall's Energy Stats UK website, which is a fantastic resource for anyone looking at Octopus tariff data. We're concentrating on export rates today, but if you want to know more about what the website offers, you can catch up on my recent interview with Mick here. I particularly like this chart, which shows the average rate paid for each 30-minute slot over the last year. And maybe looking at this chart, you can see the problem. Well done if you spotted it. Over an entire year on Octopus Agile, you'd still be better off financially on the 15p flat rate Octopus outgoing tariff. It's just so lucrative. Alright then, now that we have a good picture of Octopus Energy's export tariffs today, let's have a go at predicting what might happen to them in the future. But before we do that, if you don't have solar panels on your property yet, and my videos are inspiring you, you'll likely be shopping around for an installer soon. The problem is it's all too easy to pick the wrong one and get ripped off, so please check out my directory here to find reliable installers in the UK that serve your area. These are installers that I've personally vetted and would trust with my own money. The directory has only been around for 3 months, but lots of people have already completed their solar installations, and I have to say the feedback I've received is incredibly humbling. The service is really easy to use. Just type in getreadyfor.solar into your browser to connect with a top-notch installer and get your solar system up and running in next to no time. Alright then, I'm about to predict the future of Octopus Energy's export tariffs, and if I know anything about the world we live in today, trying to predict the future is nigh on impossible. But hey, let's give it a go anyway. Here are the highest flat rate export tariffs being offered in the UK right now, excluding those with special rates if you go with that energy provided for your solar install. Octopus, EDF and Good Energy are all at 15p per kilowatt hour. Scottish Power is slightly lower at 12p, and British Gas is ever so slightly higher at 15.1p. But the leader at the moment is E.ON with an export rate of 16.5p. The thing is, I just don't see these flat rate tariffs being sustainable in the long run. I mean, there are definite advantages to locally distributed generation, such as reduced transmission losses compared to power transmitted from hundreds of miles away. And there is the strong appeal that your home solar generation is powering your neighbours' homes. But does that truly outweigh the grid challenges that we discussed earlier, like midday oversupply leading to extremely low or even negative wholesale prices? I don't think so, but let's have some debate in the comments, and I'd especially love to hear from those of you with strong expertise in the utility industry. Okay, so if I'm right, with the UK market all sitting around the 15p mark, and the UK regulator Ofgem hopefully making sure there's no collusion on pricing, who's going to blink first? Octopus Energy may have the UK's largest customer base, but there's plenty of chat on social media suggesting that they're losing some ground to E.ON, especially among solar owners looking for a better deal on export. You could argue that, if anything, Octopus might increase their flat rate export to something like 16.5p to stem that tide. But it seems Scottish Power is the first to move the other way, notifying their customers that the standalone export rate is reducing from 12p to 6p from the 2nd of August. And maybe that action will cause other providers to follow suit. But for Octopus, I think there's a better way. When it comes to influencing consumer behaviour, like encouraging solar owners to export during peak demand or charge their batteries off-peak, you've got the classic choice, carrot or stick. Positive incentives versus penalties and restrictions. The stick approach would be simply to reduce the flat rate on outgoing Octopus to say 12p or even 8p. Why 12p? Well, there are at least 2 energy providers, OVO and Scottish Power, already at this rate today. And why 8p then? It's roughly half the current rate, which when we look again at the chart showing the average rates on Octopus Agile over the year, customers could make a case that they might be able to protect 55 to 80% of their current export returns by switching over from outgoing Octopus to outgoing Agile. Why 55%? Well, those customers would already be pretty much guaranteed 50% protection. But during the peak period, there is now that increased revenue potential. And why 80%? Well, those with a reasonable amount of battery capacity should be able to store part of their solar generation throughout the day for export during that peak period, attracting the higher rates at that time. So for those customers who are with Octopus Energy for reasons not just price, even a reduction to 8 pence might just be bearable. And don't forget, many of those customers would value the positive environmental impact of the change, seeing it as the right thing to do. But that said, many Octopus Energy customers are there because they believe they're getting the best value in monetary terms. And so, unless providers like E.ON followed suit with a similar export price reduction, those customers are likely to change their provider. Alright then, that's my analysis of the stick approach, but I've always favoured the carrot approach, as it inspires people with tangible rewards, building enthusiasm and long-term buy-in without stirring up any resentment or resistance. And from what I know of Octopus Energy as a company, I think they would also favour the carrot approach for the same reasons. So here's my view then on what Octopus Energy can do with a carrot approach. Well, it's simple really. Modify the algorithm that calculates the export rates for outgoing Agile so that it becomes a more favourable tariff to be on than the current outgoing Octopus. I guess there's some analysis to be done to figure out what the tipping point might be. It's a bit beyond my skills, but maybe Tim from Tim and Kat's Greenwalk might be interested to take a look. He's not only a spreadsheet king, but a data scientist in his day job. What do you say, Tim? Then, at the same time, or even later on, steadily reduce the flat rate on outgoing Octopus. But I think it won't really matter what happens to that tariff, given the expected increased popularity of outgoing Agile. Now, I've no idea what Octopus Energy will do, and I'm sure they've got their own data people all over this topic. But if I had to make a prediction, it's most definitely the carrot approach. Let me know in the comments what you think Octopus Energy should do, if anything, about export tariffs. And let me know if you're a customer, whether any of the changes I've talked about would cause you to stay or leave. And if you're not already a customer, would the proposed carrot be enough to make you think about moving to Octopus? Thanks. As a final thought then, while this video has focused on the flat rate and time of use export tariffs as ways to monetize your solar and battery system, and ideally support environmental goals too, I don't actually believe they're the most efficient way to achieve either objective. Instead, I believe the future lies in handing over control of your system to a dedicated aggregator, which could be your energy provider, allowing them to orchestrate your system in harmony with millions of other distributed assets, providing utility-scale services that can genuinely stabilise the grid and cut emissions. Services like frequency response, voltage support, demand response, and energy arbitrage at scale, which your home setup cannot provide on its own, but this can command far higher financial rewards from grid operators. The big question though is this: will those aggregators fairly distribute those rewards back to homeowners who are enabling all of this? I'd like to believe yes, but I am sceptical. And I think the only real way to ensure fair market value for consumers is through robust competition, and multiple aggregators in the market will achieve this, all vying to bridge that gap between consumers and the grid. And as an Octopus Energy customer myself, this is where I'm fully expecting Octopus Energy to lead that market. Perhaps an even more important question then, would you be willing to hand over control of your system in return for those awards? Again, let me know what you think about that in the comments. That's it for this video then. I hope you found it thought-provoking, and I look forward to reading all your comments. I'll try my best to reply to as many as I can, but that's not always possible, so apologies for that. Before I go then, I just want to say thank you to all my Patreon supporters who continue to make the Gary Does Solar channel what it is today, including these supporters on the terawatt and gigawatt tiers. I've got so many videos I'm working on, I can't wait to finish them and show you. Cheers for now.